one of the most beautiful buildings of Beirut, definitely. It is a brilliant example of the architecture of the 20s and 30s. It was built in 1924 by the Barakat family, by the architect Youssef Aftimos. Youssef Aftimos was the architect of Sultan Abdel Hamid II, so he was a very important architect. He started by the ground floor and the first floor only because the Barakat didn't have enough money to continue. In 1932, they had enough money to continue. Mrs. Barakat was very sad that she didn't have a service entrance for the kitchen, that everything, the food comes through the central hall. So she asked her son to have somebody draw a service staircase for her. He knew a very young architect. His name was Fouad Kozah. He was fascinated by concrete. Concrete was very new in the building techniques. It was introduced into building techniques in Beirut in 1928. He said, I will do a sketch for a staircase. And they asked Aftimos for permission because he's another architect. And when he looked at the staircase, he said, this is a brilliant architect. I will let him continue the building. So Fouad Kozah continued the building, and he is the author of the colonnade that you can see connecting the building in two, because it's made out of concrete, and he was able to do that because of concrete as a building material. The most important architectural feature of the building is this void. If you can look up, you can see how the building is open to the sky in the middle. It is cut in two in a very sharp way. In the 30s, nobody gave the void to the corner. The corner was the most important room. Aftimos wanted to give the void to the corner, and by doing so, he allowed every other room in the building, even if it's in the very far back, to look onto the street through this void. This is the visual transparency of the building that makes it a very, very unique building architecturally, and a very avant-garde building. Nobody did this in the 30s. The fer forgé that you hold on the balconies also continued on the flying beam. So there was a fer forgé for nobody, for the void. This is a very modern notion, to have a handrail just for a visual effect. Also, this is an important detail in the architecture of the building. You come up the stairs, that was here, you open the door and you're in the central hall, like the old Lebanese houses. And every central hall there are triple arches. You can see the beginning of the arches, and the marble columns are still there. So this was a very bourgeois, luxurious apartment. This is one of the rare remaining parts of the tiling. The breaking of the tiling was not during the war, it was during the demolition in 1997. But this shows you how detailed and how sophisticated the houses were. And the design of Fouad Kozah was very Art Deco, and you can see it even in the tiling. And you can see the same Art Deco details in the wood of the... Here there are no triple arches anymore because it became 1932 and it was the Art Deco movement. It's really one of the most beautiful floors in Beirut. It's pure Art Deco and very original. For our architectural study, this building documents the transition between the early building techniques and the later building trends. In the East apartment, I found over the years documents that belonged to the owner of the apartment. His name was Najib Shmali.